since 1965. I have never done any other job in my life. What else? I'm the person, one of the people they call a veteran journalist. Yes. So I started as a cub reporter in one of the newspapers in Uganda in 1964, which was called Sekanyolya. It was a Uganda newspaper.
Not Uganda Argus?
Not Uganda Argus. I worked there afterwards, after my training and all that. So, but then 1966, the newspaper closed because of the 1966 crisis, when President, or rather Prime Minister Obote, attacked the Kabaka of Uganda. That newspaper, Sekanyolya, belonged to the institution of Buganda, or Buganda Kingdom. So when politics ended, then the newspaper also ended, collapsed. So then, but I had applied to go for training in Tanzania. So I was given opportunity, though my paper had closed, but I had been already admitted at the Institute of Publicity Media in Mwanza, which is now St. Augustine University, Mwanza. So I was there. We were a number of Ugandans, because every year they were taking, every other 2 years they were taking people from different countries in Eastern Africa. So I was there for 18 months, and I came back. And when I came back in 1968, I joined a public relations organization, company, Publicity Services, which had a magazine called Day and Night. This Day and Night magazine, it was a weekly magazine about tourist attractions in Uganda, mainly in Uganda, yes, in Uganda. But of course I was based in Kampala. So I became its editor, right from the college, Mwanza. Just only 2 months when I arrived here, then I started work. Because I got a job when I was still in Mwanza, in Tanzania. Because we had basic training in Tanzania, very basic, very thorough. So I didn't find a lot of headache manning Day and Night. Day and Night had challenges. I had challenges myself, because I was the editor, I was the advertising manager, I was the reporter, I was the production manager, I was the vendor. Because whenever it came out every Friday, I would, the company gave me a driver and a car to take the magazine around Kampala, cinema, hotels, what. So then, but that's a long story. To get more training, to get more experience. But I thought they would ask me to be a member of UPC, which apparently, and I was happy, they never asked me to change, because I was a monarchist, and I'm still a monarchist. So, but I was lucky that they never asked me to change to belong to UPC. So they took me as a professional man. Now, if you can say, I have not been a reporter for many years. I was just a reporter with the Sekanyolya. Then I went to Tanzania. Then when I came back, I never became a reporter again. I was a sub-editor, sub-editor, then moved to editor, managing editor-in-chief and all that. So then I'm going to be very brief on that. Then from there, then the government, Obote's government was overthrown in 1971 by Idi Amin. And then I didn't feel comfortable, because then we started getting orders from the army, the big people in the army, because they had taken over the government. But then I changed.
What were the orders?
Oh, the orders to bring this, print this, do this. We want this story to come out. We don't want you to write about this. And now, but before I switched it to another newspaper, there were two things I always remember, 2 or 3 issues, scenarios I remember at the People newspaper. One day, because I was in charge of the contents, the inside contents. The front page we used to discuss together with my editor and all that, but the insides, all the articles, features, were my responsibility. So one day, and now, Obote's government had already fallen. We were working with the soldiers. So one day, and before one day, then Obote, those of you who know the history, when he was overthrown, he ran to Tanzania. So he was there. Now, when I got a feature story from London, there were syndicated stories. They used to come for our newspaper, and we would select whichever story we want. So I selected, there was a story, a very good story about agriculture, and agriculture in Tanzania, modernization of agriculture in Tanzania. So I put it in the newspaper. It was just it was not even a full page. It was half. So the story was very good and nothing political. So President Idi Amin's henchmen called me when it appeared the next day. Then I was asked, why did I publish that story? I said it was about modernization of agriculture in Tanzania. So they didn't like it, because Obote was living in Tanzania. So they thought I was and at that time, the guerrillas, the people who were fighting Idi Amin, they had started also, So they thought I was.
You were working with Obote?
I was working with Obote, which I was not. Yeah. Anyway, so they gave me a warning, but that took my editor. He was dismissed. Yes, because of my selection of that story. So he was dismissed on radio and all that. But then before that, there was, when Amin came to power, he was a publicity addict. He wanted a lot of publicity. Now, I also remember at the People, I got a telephone call from the president's office. And the man who rang me was Captain Valerin Ochima. He was the press secretary to Idi Amin. So he rang me and he said, the president is going to Gulu and he want you to give us a camera person to take with him so that he takes pictures of the president in Gulu. I think it was in Gulu, somewhere in the north. So I gave I gave the name of the camera person. And they went, and he was taken in a helicopter. So that he comes back on Sunday for, so that the Monday paper has the center spread of the pictures of the president. So the man went, and I waited. So when he came back on Sunday morning, I was already at the station, at the newsroom. I received. Now, when I checked the newsroom, not a newsroom, when I checked the dark room, we used to have three items used for making pictures. We had blocks, we had plates, we had a fixer. Those three items. Now the blocks are small metal things, on which you depending on what kind of, or how big the picture you want it to be. And then the plates, these small, tiny, sheets, metal sheets, small, but very fragile. So, but these items were not there. Maybe since it was a weekend, I didn't know that we had run short of these items. So the pictures didn't come out on Monday, as I had arranged. So the president's office, Captain Ochima, rang me to find out why the pictures of the president are not in the newspaper. So I said, we don't. I'm sorry. First of all, I apologized, and I told the captain the reasons. I didn't have plates. I didn't have blocks. I didn't have fix and all that. But they listened only to two items: blocks and plates. But they didn't understand what I was talking about. So they told me I was a liar because there are many plates in Kampala, in Chikubu, in the market. I should have bought plates. Maybe they thought these plates we use for eating, for dining. And then they told me. They told me about blocks. So for them, they thought I meant these sand blocks made out of sand and cement in the building blocks. That's what I think they thought. So they told me. At that time, 71, there was a man called Kizito, and he had a factory block there at Chibuye, just a few miles from Kampala, on Entebbe Road. So they told me, actually the president said there were plenty of blocks there. So you can imagine the problem I had. But they told me I shouldn't joke around. These pictures were very important. I said I apologized, but then I said I promised that tomorrow we are going to have the pictures. But explaining this, I was 72, I think. Yeah. But explaining this, maybe 71 at the end. But all this, I was explaining all this while I was invited in the president's office at Parliamentary Building. So, but they told me not to joke around, unless I was a saboteur or gorilla, something like that, a freedom fighter or widow. But I didn't. I was neither. Anyway, until I realized that things were not moving well, so I left the people. So I went to Uganda Gas. But then by then Uganda Gas was being manned by the British. There were about 2 or 3 British remaining. the editor, chief sub-editor, maybe someone else. So I joined there. Now, there I also had a problem. There was something that didn't go well with me, with the chief sub-editor, who was a British also. So I left also. But the reason why I left, because I edited a story. I subbed. We used to call it subbing. I subbed a story for the newspaper, a very tiny story, and I put on a headline. I constructed a headline, and it was the way we were doing things. Then after editing, after sub-editing the story, I would put it in the chief sub-editor's tray. So he looked at this. It was a small story, and he changed the headline. Then I realized after time, because I was checking in his tray, and I found that he had changed the headline. So I told the chief sub-editor, who was called Whitnell, I told him this story, the headline I wrote, I constructed was better than his, and I told him it is going to bring problems. I've forgotten the story really. So, but he told me that he was the chief sub-editor. Therefore, I had no right to tell him what to do. I told him, but it's going to bring problems. So I said, to hell. Anyway, the story came out, and the next morning, someone rang from the president's office, and he complained about the headline. And I only hope that Mr. Whitnell didn't think I had rang the president's office, because I didn't know anybody in the president's office. But it was just because of the headline, which meant a different thing. So from then, the sub-editor didn't like me, so I had to part.
You left?
Yeah, I left, and then I went back
to
No, I couldn't go back to people. So I went back to where I started with the Day and the Night magazine, the 12th magazine. So I became an account executive, advertising executive. So then after that, I was there. 74, I went to Britain. No, but before Museveni came in, during Obote, I remember I came out in my Star newspaper, the English newspaper. I came out with an article condemning corruption of Obote's ministers. And
hearing this time?
Yes, then I published a story condemning Obote's, Obote's ministers being corrupt. So that story landed me in prison, in Rizira prison, where I stayed for 4 months until I came out. Now, when I came out, I said I'm going to start from where I started. So we moved. So that is that. Now I joined the television, because that was all through. It was print. Then
That is which year?
1990 when? 1990s I joined the electronic media, because my two papers had folded, Ngabo and Star folded. Then I joined the UTV as a freelance producer and presenter. So I presented a program called Face the Press on behalf of the editors organization, which we called UNEPA. And then eventually, the program lasted for some 2 or 3 years. Then it was stopped because it was, the government didn't like it.
VEPA.
Huh? UNEPA.
UNEPA.
UNEPA's program on UTV. So
What was the program all about?
the program was about democracy. People coming to the show and explaining what they were doing. The politicians, the government officials, and everybody.
You just told you stop it.
Yeah. But it had gone on for quite a long time. So it stopped. It stopped. And 2000, then WBS. I joined WBS because WBS television was started in 1999. So, but I joined them 2000, and because they were looking for someone to do a Uganda program, a talk show in Uganda. So I applied, and they told me to start immediately. So I started. So until when WBS also folded in 2016. So that is in brief about. But I know a little about Uganda. The challenges, first of all, the first challenge I see is the lack of proper training of people to work as journalists. That's a big challenge. 2, there is also a challenge of the politicians interfering with the media, the government mainly, because people in the government, and that reminds me of the pressures of the press, because I can summarize the challenge of the press, of the media, in 5 categories. We have a challenge of the proprietors, and we used to call them the pressures of the press. We have the proprietors. They are also a challenge. Many people have started media houses without a proper funding and all that, and then the young people come and join, and they are not adequately paid, or some of them are not paid at all. So that is the proprietor problem. Then we have a problem of executive. The executive, as I've said, people in the government coming to give orders, squeeze the media here and there, for the selfish ends. And that is a sign of lack of democracy, lack of freedom of expression, of speech, and all that. Of course, there is no absolute freedom of the press, but there you are. Then you have the judiciary, where you have, of course, the laws affecting the laws. It's also a challenge. There are many regulations, unnecessary regulations, being used by the police, to antagonize the media. Then we have the parliament. That is the what? The legislature is also a challenge, unless they help us to remove and not to pass unnecessary laws to squeeze yeah. Then otherwise, if it remains the way things are, then the challenge. Then you have another issue is about audience or readership or listenership. The same thing. They also give the media problem because we used it to bring out issues, important issues for people to digest and all that. Today, it's a problem. You don't get things, programs, articles for, especially in the popular press, as you call it, which is not serious newspaper, but newspapers that are fragile in reporting and all that. Then another issue is about advertising. Advertising, the media survives on advertising.
So what's the problem with audience? I want to...
The audience. At times, the audience pushes the media to do things we think, or the media thinks the public wants. Maybe it is it's false, but I'll give you an example. Today, you find a lot of how do you call these reportings about private, entering into private lives of people. How do you call these people? The artists, the leaders, the issues, home affairs, sexual affairs, and all that, and we tend to think that's what the public wants. I don't know whether it is right or not, but so that's why I'm saying the audience or readership or listenership. People want to listen to things that are very quick, entertaining and all that. I know the role of one of the roles of the press is to entertain, but it has to be accompanied with education and information. So those are the issues I see, the challenges. Then the journalists themselves.
You had mentioned the last one, revenue, advertising.
Advertising. If the media doesn't get proper advertising, then it is difficult to survive. It can't operate. The media cannot be able to have money to give to the workers, to do proper jobs, to do proper work. So, if advertising is not improved in the media, but then the problem is who advertises? The private companies. Now, but if the economic trend is also bad, then you'll find it very difficult. That we don't have any power over it. We just find ourselves in such a situation that we used to get maybe 70% of advertising. These days you get 40%. And then what eventually will come is to reduce the staff and all that. So but then secondly, even the journalists themselves, unless they wake up to always think, creativity. If you lack creativity, then you see in the old days, in my time, we used to you could not just sit down and write a story. You see, you'd go out, get to research, try to find out what is what, then you write a very good piece. But if you don't, then it's a problem. It's a problem if you are going to sit down, just to sit down and write a story out of your head. Now, we used to write very good pieces in our time, and we didn't have internet. Today you have internet, but again, funny enough, you write things that that are false, and yet you have plenty of information on the internet. You don't use internet these days. I don't know. You are on WhatsApp only. You know, WhatsApp. I know WhatsApp is on the internet. Is it on the internet?
It's on the internet.
Yes, that's the only thing you know. But you can't sit down and find, if you are going to write about forestry, you can't sit down and say, let me go into on the internet and find about forestry. What do I want to write about forestry? You don't. You just, rumor mongering on the. Honestly, I know they are doing a good job, but sometimes you wonder whether what they are putting on their house, what they are putting on their media is conducive to development of their countries. One thing, there's a lot of blowing out issues, things for reasons or for no reasons, and trying to put the world at a crossroad. You see, or doing. I know one of the things I always want is make follow-up, because follow-ups are not made. But now you get an example of this coronavirus. I mean, I like the way the media has gone making follow-up, but some of the follow-ups are unnecessary, and you sit down to watch your TV and you see you put the world under threat. I'm not saying you should not bring out issues, but how do you bring the issues out to the people? So the 2020, the newspapers, the radio stations, and TVs, you have to be very, very careful, because otherwise you will have a threat. For example, the media has a threat already because of the internet. Time will come when people will not even bother listening to radio or looking at TV or reading newspaper, because everything now is in your hands, in the internet, on the phone. So you have to wake up to 2020 and beyond. Is going to create a lot of problems for the media. 2020 plus. You see,
What kind of radio
any
do you
media,
want to see?
anything that gives me proper information, fast information, in an effective way, not false information. That's what I want, and that's what everybody wants. We want things that make us, know all the time. You get to know things. So I can't say I would rather take this or this, but any media. For me, if I switch on TV, you are not going to make me listen to music, and you won't see me, I won't be there to look at a program that is boring. You know, you don't go out to interview people. You just see, you just bring a guest in the studio, and it all. I have seen TV here in Uganda, and these funny programs. You get someone, you bring someone to the studio, sits there, you interview without cutaways, without word, and it's as if you are on radio. So the journalists, the media people have a problem because the churches are taking over the work of journalists. They take the pastors come and present programs through so-called service or church. Bawunya abantu, how do you call it? Healing people and all that. And TVs take that as a program. You see? And you, the journalist, they have robbed away your work. because what else? Unless. So, the problem, the churches will be taking over the media, but the people will not be getting anything, because some of the things that appear even on TV are lies. That. So everywhere you will find that almost every church will have a TV. You see? And the work of a journalist is going to disappear. And as far as if we allow the churches, you see, then the other problem we have is because some of these churches are being sponsored from outside, and they bring in money, and they have money to start a station, and yet even if they allow you to work there, because most of these TV stations don't pay journalists. No, if they have 5 people, they will just give them some transport allowance if they give them. So we are going to have a dying TV, dying electronic